So today is December 2nd, and I'm totally in slow-mo, just ate dinner, need some coffee, got a big old 100-foot Ethernet cable, which I call Super Black Man cable, if for those who have a sense of humor and don't try to hunt down and kill people for making harmless jokes. So anyways, tonight is going to probably be fairly short, which if you've watched my other extremely long 3-4 hour videos, maybe you'll be happy. Anyways, I just wanted to get a few topics off the top of my head and probably not get too deep into anything tonight, because I sort of want to chill out and not think about this crap right now. But the first thing I want to do is I added a small clip the other night when I was talking about my 11th grade English class and Miss Tunic's class with the Mike Cho character, which I'll briefly reiterate. And I couldn't remember his name, Stefano Cho, which sat on my right, and it came back to me as I went into a gas station and I recorded it, but my mic, the external audio was turned on and I didn't have an external mic, hence I didn't get the audio on video, so or I gotta be talking with no audio on that small clip, and I salvaged the rest. So it was something that came back to me. But more importantly, when Stefano Cho's name came back to me, something I didn't realize or pick up on all these years kind of clicked, which was okay, let me just briefly, because I don't want to go too deep, because I explained it in the last video, which is not very complex situation anyways, but in the 11th grade English, Miss Tunic's class, I had Stefano Cho to the right of me, who was the coolest cat known to man, and I talked about going to the old Vans shoe store, which got converted into a pizza restaurant, where we did our little, let's go down there, do our little contest or whatever it was. We rushed down there and we, what did we do? We went down, we kind of did like, it was like a race, okay? We leave school, we go to the restaurant, we order this huge Italian special, we see how fast we can eat it, and then get back to school, and who could eat the most in the fastest time was the winner. And anyway, Stefano always won. He had like 5 pieces of pizza in his mouth at one time or whatever, and it was the funniest thing to know to man. You know, high school kids, that shit. Anyways, so we had Mike Cho, which I explained, to the left of me, which wasn't directly to the left, but he was like maybe 4 seats down to the left of me, like way down that way. And he would always, like this Tourette's or completely bothered, be like yelling out like, you goddamn communist bastard, you communist bastard, right? And he would just, this constant outbursts. And so most likely that most of the class was laughing, and I really just said that's kind of weird, but whatever. Now Stefano Cho was to my right. Now remember, there's this patterns of 2s, right? So they do things in patterns of 2s. So we got Mike Cho and Stefano Cho. We have Shelley Humphrey, who cheated on my mother, which I couldn't really care less about. Shelley Humphreys and Paul Humphreys. And at the same time, and Paul, around when I'm 14, and Paul coming into my life through Joe Humphrey. What else? Oh, Eric, the more obvious ones, Eric Christensen and Sherry Christensen befriending me at Southern Oregon State College from the Diamond dorm when I was in Emerald Hall, right after I bought the Lord's Gym t-shirt, to run around trying to say that I'm somehow doing something to them, while trying to set me up and frame me over and over. You get the idea, right? And there's a lot more, and I've talked about the cars in twos, or people saying things in twos, and doing all these things in twos, and obviously the reason why, based on common sense, is, well, if you do it once, it doesn't look weird, right? If I'm walking down the street, and I see one green Honda Accord, I couldn't think less. But if every day, if I'm walking down the street and I see two identical Honda Accords together, and then an hour later, where the two identical Honda Accords were, I see two green Porsche or two red Porsches together, and then I walk down an hour later and there's two 1966 Lincoln Continentals together, right? Well, if there's one of them, you're never going to think about it, but if there's two of them, you're going to say something really messed up is going on, because the amount of coincidences like that are statistically impossible, and being that I can literally walk down my street with a video camera every single day, getting 10 to 20 pairs of cars and twos. For example, this morning leaving my house, there were two green Acura whatevers, one in front of the other, and one guy was even so desperate that he was actually sleeping in it. That's how bad he wanted his car in front of my place parked by my car. And when I got to, I got a coffee at a Coffee Bean, and there was a guy waiting for me in a gray identical car, sleeping in it. This guy was a black guy. When I got home, where the two Acuras were one in front of the other, there was a third one, same color as well, so three. Well, you know, statistically, that's like getting struck by lightning, and it's happening like 100 times a day directed at me, right? Okay, so, could not happen without human manipulation is my point. And if there's manipulation wherever I go and people act out in anger and rage towards me each and every time, it's obviously directed at me. Okay, so the Stefano Cho, so we had the Mike Cho, the Stefano Cho, we had Miss Tunick, the teacher. Now remember, there's this big thing with music, which I explained, where they're angry at me for listening to music or singing music. Now, then trying to say I conform to media and I'm a violent paranoid schizo in their tactics to remove me from society. Most likely, I can't tell you if her name was coincidental, like Mike Huntley sending Melody the stripper after me. Once again, Melody, Miss Tunick. Maybe the Miss Tunick part was coincidence, but who knows? Because the amount of government dollars, the billions invested, you get the idea. If these things are being done to me all day and night from person to person, chances are that it was no coincidence. They just wanted to intentionally put me in Miss Tunick's class after introducing me to Melody, right? And then hinting that I did something wrong and I conform to music and I think I'm in the song or something stupid like that. So we had Mike Cho just acting out in anger and rage. And then all of a sudden, Mike Huntley sent after me around the same time to kind of make me look like how Mike Cho is. And the police saying, well, because my middle name's, not saying, but hinting, because my middle name is Michael, that everything that Mike Huntley did, I did, right? And they keep doing this thing, turning things around on me like I can't see myself, and we're going to show you who you are, and if you don't admit that you're this horrible monster. We're going to lock you away in jail cells and mental institutions, right? Okay, so, oh, hey, an undercover cop car. Someone got busted. So Mike Cho, that there's really not too much to that aspect other than the mental illness tactics to try to, I think they're doing what they've done with all the other things is, example, Mike Cho is in my class. Mike Cho is like kind of yelling out in anger every few minutes, like Tourette's. And then I think what they're doing is making up the lie and giving it to the world that, well, Kevin Perlman did this to Mike Cho and made him sick and made him crazy, even though I'd never actually seen Mike Cho ever in high school before that class or after. And then, oh yeah, and then Stefano Cho got caught cheating on a vocabulary test. He would write down in lead on the desk, whatever, kid shit, write down all the vocabulary test answers or something on the desk, and he got caught, whatever, and they made him take the class over. I didn't really think I saw much around that time, because that was late 11th grade and 12th grade, and then you graduate, whatever. So, once again, the patterns of twos, and we're going to try to make Kevin, we're going to turn Kevin into Mike Cho, because Kevin's a horrible monster, yet they won't explain what I did. But remember, I talked about all these things, how I supposedly made Scott Gellin kill himself by bullying him, which another person, probably in my only interaction, was saying hi once. And if that gossip is drama is even true, that he killed himself from Joe Lippman, I'm not even sure of that, which is the guy they called Melonhead. And Carissa Brands and Paul Humphrey claiming that I somehow made Carissa Brands mentally ill and put her in a mental institution. Now remember, none of these things are actually said to me that I did this. It's just, you know what you did, with like death threats from my brother, that me and my friends are going to put you in a mental institution, right? So you have to do the math and read between the lines when you have a worldwide campaign to kill you with answers like, you know what you did, your past caught up with yourself, you did this to yourself, but nothing ever specific, right? Trying to cover up all these things and their operations. Okay, so that was pretty much it, but I wanted to get the point across. The big thing was that it was Stefano. I couldn't remember Stefano's name, and I just thought he was the coolest person. But so Stefano on my right, Stefano Cho on my right, and Mike Cho on my left. Okay, so now a thought kind of rushed into my head. A couple of thoughts, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because I'm tired and I need coffee, and I'm gonna find a coffee on the way. The first thing that came to my head, a thought that was kind of buried deep that I forgot all about, but I'm sure it's up on my website under People and Tactics, under my brother, is that, remember, keep in mind my brother's trying to be the tough guy, right? He's going around, he's putting license plate frames, I swerve and hit people at random, They're loading their trunk up with like baseball bats and crowbars and camshafts and shit, trying to look all tough, causing shit on the roads with he and his friends. Oh, and of course pinning it all on me, ironically, right? So now you understand how deep this goes. They were actually told to do it for the sole intent to pin on me. While trying to be this tough guy, when I'm 16, so he must have been 18, I was 16, I took a completely different path than my brother, right? And, well, my brother was a troublemaker, acting out in rage, causing havoc, causing chaos. I was all about passion and creating and hence, like I explained before, building my RC cars, then getting the real cars, and reading hot rod magazines, and buying books on how to build engines, and doing it all myself. Well, yeah, going through learning phases, obviously, because you don't just pick up a book and do something you've never done without making little mistakes. I think I did fairly well, considering I was just able to read a book on how to rebuild an engine and do it the first time, despite the fact that I fried the rings by the break-in process. The radiator hose popped off, and I finished driving the car home for a few miles during the ring break-in process, and I fried the cylinder walls, and so I had a compression leak. Whatever. Which Pineapple Joe called Black Death, and as I explained before, the reason he was doing it, I believe, is to hint that I hate black people based on that whole kissing the black girl at 8 years old, which my family is so mad about. Hold on a sec. Hold that thought while I run in and grab a coffee. Okay, so, I was talking to my brother and the dynamics. First, got my coffee, thank God, and I got a new vape, so I'm good. Kind of like that, what's his name? Oh, I can't remember that actor's name. Cusack, like John Cusack in that recent movie where he, what is it? He, oh, that's right. He kidnaps the dude and makes him do all these things, and he's got the vape. Whatever. No, I'm just joking. So anyone that's into the whole conforming to movie conspiracy against Kevin Perlman, whatever. I'm just joking around with you. But anyways, I was talking about the dynamics of my brother's personality at the age of 16 and how he goes from one person to the other. For example, he's Mr. Tough Guy with all his friends, creating all this havoc on the roads, pinning it on me, and then around me, it's, oh, poor me, I'm a little girl, right? Okay, so for example, and I'll give you this mean, horrific 16-year-old confession that Sean Dinsey, with the rest of the LAPD, has been hunting me down for 30 years over. I'm going to confess to a crime right now on camera for all of you. During this time period, I sped. Okay, there you have it. I sped in a car. And I'm sure as unheard of, it's never happened, and Kevin Perlman needs to be hunted and killed with worldwide support with paranoid schizophrenia tactics. But let me explain it so you understand. I'm driving, and my brother's in the passenger seat, and we're driving through the canyon, and I speed through the canyon, and I kind of show off some of my driving skills. Whatever, right? No accidents, no one gets hurt. Yeah, you know, is it a little reckless? Yeah, but are kids sometimes on and off a little reckless? Yeah, I mean, how many kids have I caught this year alone speeding, peeling out, doing donuts? One guy even did a hit and run in front of my house, which I have on video. And ironically, it's one of the hypocrites that run around saying Kevin's out of control because he walked by the Met complex, and you don't do that past 8 p.m. or you need to be watched, hunted, or killed, is going out, getting in hit and runs, right? Okay, so what is my point? My point is kids are kids, and most kids aren't generally hunted with worldwide support for stupid things that kids do every single day, right? Kids do stupid shit. Happens all the time. I mean, even sometimes kids even get pregnant at 14 or 15. Stupid decisions in life, right? Well, me, I peeled out a few times and sped sometimes, right? Okay, whatever. I'm 46 years old. If someone's running around saying when you were 16 you sped a little in a car, okay, hello, that person needs help. Okay, but anyways, so I go through the canyon, and if you've ever been in a passenger seat of someone that drives fast, You do feel a sense of lack of control, I can tell you that. But trust me, when I'm in Andrew Adelman's car, or my brother's driving around in the back of their CRX or whatever, and they're rattling me in the back trunk as I'm rolling back and forth, you know, I'm not hunting these people around for the next 30 years going, you ruined my life, for rocking me back and forth, whatever. Okay, so the point is that after I sped through the canyon with my brother, he went from tough guy at one point, starting to say, Kevin tried to kill me, right? You tried to kill me, and telling other people that I tried to kill him, driving fast through the canyon with him. Okay? Now, if anyone believes that, they have to be the stupidest motherfuckers known to man, and I really wasn't taking him too seriously because it sounds stupid to begin with, right? Hey, Kevin drove through the canyon and sped, so he tried to kill me. Well, you know, I mean, give me a fucking break. And this is the guy that goes around bashing people's skulls in with crowbars? Hello, right? Okay, do you see, like, this shift in personalities, or more importantly, a fake personality in order to try to peer pressure me or set me up, right? So, for example, my brother's going out committing all these crimes, and my family's saying that's okay. And not only is my family saying that's okay, but they're saying Kevin did it, right? Then Kevin does something fairly harmless, like speeds, which you would get a speeding ticket for, right? And you say, okay, I'm guilty for a speeding ticket, which takes a couple of points off your record for a short period of time, somehow goes into murder, right? Okay, now remember that I told you about the lady waiting in front of the Honda dealer at the shoulder who threw her car in front of mine perpendicular, and I couldn't avoid her and hit her causing an accident, and then jumping out of her car saying I tried to kill her. Remember that? Which, at the age 29 to now, finding out there's a planet full of people that want me dead for that. You understand what I'm saying? Doesn't really add up, okay? What about the lady that's actually waiting for me, stalking me, and throwing cars in front of me? That's not a crime? That's the end-all be-all of crimes, right? Just like Terrence Strogan's contacted by the police to hunt me down, right? You understand? You get the idea. Mr. Tough Guy is now running around because I sped with him in the car and I tried to kill him. He's trying to kill me. Now remember, I explained before that when I was a lot younger, around 12 or something, the steak knife thing, where he's also saying I tried to kill him, right? So now, and these are things I never really, when you're absorbed in watching worldwide campaigns trying to kill you for some reason, and you're told you're imagining it, you don't really know where it's coming from, but we got my brother, and he's doing these things, and he's thugging and bullying me and terrorizing me and trying to cover it all up, and then he says Kevin tried to kill me with a steak knife, right? Then he's doing all the road rage shit, he's pinning it on me with Mike Huntley. Then I speed one day in the car with him, Kevin tried to kill me, right? Well, if someone says I tried to kill them by speeding, right, that's pretty pathetic. You know, did I also kill him because I farted on him and farted near him in the same room, right? Okay, so now I want to get to another thing I remembered, and ironically, we had these big Malibu fires, which were like huge. But there's an incident in my childhood when I was around, I guess 13 or 14, where my brother, I don't remember, he was sort of chased me or scared me or something, and I ran away from him, and it was pitch dark, and I ran through a rose bush, slicing up my foot in a rose bush, and my father like stitched it up. not a big deal. I never held it against my brother or said you're a horrible monster or anything. That might have been why his friends moved to a house on Chase Street and started doing all these things to people, calling them runs. I'm not sure. But at the same time, I can remember we had a little garden, and I think the whole things about the movie Big Stan and pissing in the garden somehow apply to me. I'm not entirely sure because there's so many movie references or things taken from my life put in media. It kind of gets confusing to which one it is and isn't, and you can only really stick to the ones that are solid, directed at me. But at the time we had this little rose bush, or sorry, a little garden that I think we planted by the garbage area, and by there we had a back hill. We lived in the Hidden Hills on the top of Hoback Glen, a big brush hill on the back side of the house by a garden and the little trash area. And one day my brother gets together with Richard Grunberg, and he gets together with Richard Grunberg, and Richard Grunberg and him want to light sparklers and throw them down the back hill to see them fly through the air. Well, I mean, first of all, that's the stupidest idea I've ever thought of, throwing sparklers through a brush hill, but I wasn't thinking about it because all I really knew was, hey, I walk in, I'm going, hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're lighting sparklers, whatever. So what happens is, they exercise their stupidity. My brother and Richard Grunberg throw sparklers down the back hill and light the entire hill on fire. I mean, that makes sense. If you have a brush hill, it's going to catch on fire if you got flaming sticks or sparking sticks landing on it, right? I mean, that's common sense. So they throw their, I think I walked up for a couple seconds. What are you doing? They light it, they throw it, I walk away, whatever. I'm not thinking like them that the entire hill is going to go up, but of course I'm not the one throwing the damn sparklers down the hill, right? So I go back in the house. A half an hour later, some guy's knocking on our door. Hey, you know, your back hill's on fire. And my father's like, yeah, whatever, and he shuts the door. And the guy's like knocking. Hey, you know, your back hill's on fire. And my father opens the door, and what do you, come on, are you serious? And they go out, the back hill's on fire. So obviously, the fire department is called, and several people in the neighborhood get together with hoses and towels or whatever to put out the fire. And if I recall correctly, we got it out just right as the fire department was arriving, and they ran over the garden, which I was joking about at the time when I was a kid, you know, that we got it out and they ran over our garden or whatever. And that was that. Pretty simple kid memory, which is insignificant like the rest of them, that you would never think twice about until you find out there's a worldwide campaign to hunt you and kill you, and you have a father rattling off things like, you know what you did, right? But won't tell you specifically what you did, to the point where you have to look back in your life and try to figure out why there's a worldwide campaign to kill you. What was I saying? Okay, now this is the part where things get obvious. Okay, jumping towards the present. Now my father, which is now working with the psychology community to tell the world that I've somehow elder abused him now. This is the latest cover-up operations for him hiring me into his company and trying to have me killed, basically, paying off Lorena Escobar to hunt me and kill me that I trace back all the way to 16 years old, in the name of control or whatever, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. After my father hires me at his company to do the IT for 14 years, and taking turns on me in an angry rage with every single one of his office employees, all working together with worldwide support and these internet-based psychological warfare, torture, terror systems. Remember, this is a father that put shock collars on dogs to communicate with them, is doing these things to me and wants to make it look like Lorena was telling the world that I somehow moved into his company. It was trying to take over the company. I think I'm the boss, like some kind of mafia boss, this and that, for simply being approached by Lorena Escobar, told by my father to tell me they want me to work there. And at no point until 14 years later, after my father trying to run me out of there and make it look like he's a good person, did he eventually break and say, Kevin, you're fired, trying to twist it around that I'm a bad person, right? Because the entire time they were working this reverse psychology, how can we get rid of Kevin by making it look like he's a bad person, and then he quit. So now, one of the things my father and Lorena Escobar, and remember, this is endless, and I have 14 years of events written down all day and night associated with his office, their severe abuse to put me in the ground, which is still going on 2 years later after I'm away from the guy, showing he's not going to stop, right? Hold on, I'm checking my light to see if yeah, it says it's recording, but there's no LED. I'm gonna start and stop the camera because that's weird. Okay, weird, the LED stopped, but it looks like it's recording. You get the idea. So one of these many tactics was for my father to walk up to me while I'm working in his office, trying to get work done, and being around for the employees so that I could help them when something went wrong, which they didn't like, which was strange. I mean, how dare you come into the office and be there in case we have a problem so you can help? We don't want that. It's very strange, and I start making up excuses that it's because I smell or because I'm masturbating in the bathroom, and they would just jump from thing to thing with all the other endless, we're trying to torture and kill you. But of course, if you're away from the office, they're still working with people to torture and kill me, showing it wasn't really about being in an office or trying to take over an office or anything like that. It's just how can we rid our son of the world. Now, my points. Okay, so anyways, so my dad would come up and say, Kevin, do you want to go out to lunch with us? And my father would be in his office like twice a week, and then he would go to different offices, and each time he'd say, Kevin, do you want to go out to lunch with us? Okay, so remember, first of all, like all these other situations where everyone's saying, Lorena's saying that I'm trying to take over the company, and then my father invites me out to lunch with him, and then Lorena's saying I'm somehow imposing on her time and violating her space with my father's lunches, right? Well, these are business lunches. I mean, he's not going out on dates with Lorena Escobar. She's supposedly his office manager, and so she shouldn't care this way or that way whether my father says, Kevin, do you want to go out to lunch with us, because he's sporting the bill, it's a business lunch, he's inviting me, and it's not a big deal. But the problem was that my father knew what she was doing and he was helping her. That's the problem, is he was paying her to do these things and try to set me up and frame me. Now, during these lunch, like, she would ask me questions, am I a violent person, and this and that, trying to figure out ways to remove me from society with the LAPD, Topanga Division, Sean Dinsey, and you name it. And like I mentioned before, they were working with the restaurant employees to keep attacking me worldwide, just like all the other tactics I started to explain. Example, every restaurant employee in the world is told to tell me enjoy like 100 times over and over, or do these repetitive mimic patterns in a passive-aggressive way to try to get reactions and get me to attack people and things like that in restaurants, so they can cover it up by saying Kevin's a violent, paranoid schizo, which I have endless proof of. Now, one of our conversations during lunch, and you have to understand that most of my father's conversations with Lorena Escobar or whoever came out to these lunches always involved some way of trying to trigger me or set me up or this or that, which never worked like usual. But one of the things, now remember, my father's a pathological liar and a psychotic. So, one of the things my father was saying, I can remember this conversation fairly well. First, he was talking about me in high school wrestling, saying that he had been to every wrestling match I had been to. Well, the truth was, he never went to any wrestling matches. Not that I thought that was a big deal, because I sucked at wrestling. He went to one single match, and if I recall, it might have been the Alemany tournament, but I'm not sure on that one. But I know 1,000,000,000% that he only showed up to one wrestling match, but at that lunch, he said he went to every wrestling match. He then proceeded to remind me about the time I lit our back hill on fire. And I explained to him, I did not light the back hill on fire. It was my brother that lit the back hill on fire. Okay? So, are we still recording? This camera is acting weird today. My point is, if you're sitting at these lunches watching lie after lie come out of your father, how he went to every one of your wrestling matches, how Janet Nordette supposedly grabbed his steering wheel and tried to throw his car into a tree, which later on being asked, he couldn't even recall it or didn't even know what I was talking about, showing that it was just some random lie he made up at the time, mixed with all the other lies I've caught him in. But more importantly, remember that these lies of my family's, they're given out worldwide, right? And I met with worldwide campaigns to kill me, with You Know What You Did, and then I'm told I'm not allowed to talk about my life. I'm not allowed to go to therapists and talk about my life. I'm not allowed to talk to friends about my life. I'm not even allowed to write a book about my life while I'm hunted down with the police for it before the book's even written, showing that they don't want me talking, right? Okay, so what point am I getting to? My point is that these things, my father's taking all these situations. My brother Richard Grunberg light the hill on fire. I talked about the skateboards the other day in the last segment, how Richard Grunberg stole the skateboards with Tom Farley and pinned it on me. He's taking all these things from other people and my brother, and he's saying, my kid's a bad kid, he's a bad seed. Look, he lit the hill on fire, he's done all these road rage shit things. But now remember that my brother is exerting this pattern of behavior where he's going out doing these things because he knows my family's going to pin it on me, right? And he's taking part. Well, if he's taking part, that means what? It means that he knows exactly what's going on, and that my family don't want me, and they're trying to either put me in jail cells, mental institutions, special schools like juvenile hall, trying to make it look like I'm a violent, paranoid schizo, like they're still doing it 46 years old, with these falsified illegal arrests and trumped up paperwork, right? And so, it's the same exact pattern of behavior that's been going on since 5 years old. How can we rid Kevin of the world? Right? So, to make a long story short, the world's been told that I'm a reckless, angry, enraged kid acting out, lighting hills on fire. Right? Once you take the information out of context. And you got the brother stating that keeps making up lies that I tried to kill him while he's going out doing all this road rage shit and pinning it on me with his friends and my friends. Okay, so that was the fire. Was there one more I want to talk about? Let's see, I wrote it down. Oof. Joy, drive. No, that's it. Okay, so now there's one more topic because I'm in slow-mo today. There's one more topic, which is, I haven't talked much on video about these bunk trials and these endless setups to lock me away in jail and mental institutions, to incarcerate me for life, as it's been said to me from my attorney who wants me dead and gone, Seymour Amster, who intentionally lost the case and is constantly keeps framing me and lying to me, refusing to file appeals, and intentionally getting me convictions, instead of taking the money he was paid to do a job which is called defense attorney and defend me, showing that I'm a good person and have done nothing wrong, with lame ass brainwashing, trying to make me think that because you're arrested, you're a bad person. Well, that's not the way it works. You are arrested based on probable cause if the police think they have enough to use against you, and then it is up to a courtroom to prove all these things, whether it happened, whether it didn't, whether the police are credible, because we all know there's a lot of police corruption and things like this, and they're playing this game that I'm a bad person because I was arrested, so therefore they're going to lock me away without due process. And this has obviously been going on since 5 years old, which makes no sense, because I don't know many people at 5 years old committed such a horrific crime at 5 that there's worldwide campaigns to kill them. Now, where am I? Oh, and one of the things which my stepfather said tonight, which was pretty strange, after showing him the docket, which Seymour told me going into these trials or in pre-trial, is you did this to yourself. Well, let me tell you, if you have an attorney before even going to the trial, basically telling you that you're a criminal, you did this to yourself, refusing to look at anything you have to say before going to trial, stopping you from preparing for trial with witnesses showing that you're the good guy, there's a serious issue, and it's coming from the top on a government level, obviously. Okay? Now, some of the people might try to spin it, well, Kevin, if you have this bunk lawyer who's a criminal, why not go find another one? Well, Seymour was chosen at the last minute after calling literally thousands of lawyers, all contacted by Detective Angela Stewart in the Topanga LAPD, who I called because of crimes being committed against me, and she didn't want me talking or me pressing charges against the criminals, so she arrested me, turning the charges around on me. And then notifying all the lawyers to not help me. And you're going to say that's absurd. How do you know that? Well, I know it due to their cryptic, passive-aggressive terror tactics. So what happened was Detective Angela Stewart says, you want to press charges or something? I said, yes, these people need to be stopped. Stop hunting me down, trying to rid me of the world. And then she says, are you sure about that, or something like that? And I say, yes, these people need to be stopped. And she says, okay. And she says, bye-bye. Now, after she says bye-bye, with an elevated voice, suggestively to me, they arrest me, and throw all these fake charges on me. And so, obviously, at that point, you have to go get a defense attorney, and they're supposed to defend you to the best of their ability according to the Bar Association. Correct? Okay. Well, I literally called thousands over like months and months and months and months, and I was screwed around, harassed, provoked by every single one of them, and each and every one, or the secretary or the paralegal on the phone, each and every time, also done to me with the psychology community, would say bye-bye, one sequentially after the next when I hang up the phone. Okay, why? I can't tell you whether they're mad at me for singing Bye-Bye Miss American Pie, because one of the things they're mad at me for is listening to and singing music, which is unheard of. Okay? So now you need to understand that I come from a family that gets angry if you express yourself in a fun-loving manner, right? The thing that everyone does. Everyone loves music, goes to concerts, sings. And if Kevin Perlman does that, he's somehow committing a crime, just like I told you the other day. Every computer name is a crime. Every CB name was a crime. Every IRC nickname is a crime. Every forum nickname is a crime. Every song I listen to is a crime. If I post music, it's a crime for people to listen to. You name it. They're all crimes, right? I'm doing something wrong. Well, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm somehow harassing people and trolling them or annoying them by them spying on my social networks and not liking what I post on my social networks when they spy on my account. Okay, so now I'm getting to the point. So, I have a court date on the December 12th, and things are a little sketchy because after they got these falsified fake convictions with corrupt lawyers, they convicted me, they put like a suspended sentence, and they did we want you to go get help. But once again, how do you get help when you're told you're not allowed to talk about the things being done in your life? Right? So what help do you get? Well, me being a good person, I'm abiding by what they state, but dealing with a lot of these people in the psychology community is you don't talk. And trust me, a lot of them have been working with strangers in the community with death threats, or women that have physically slapped me because they didn't want me talking about what was going on or handing them or anyone else cards. Hence, trying to say that I'm forcing cards. Well, the girl that slapped me, I didn't, like everyone else, I didn't force a card on. I said, do you want a card? She said yes. After she took the card, she said, what's this about? And I explained it, and when she realizes that I can explain it in such a way that doesn't look crazy, she says, I don't want your card, tries to force it on me, and I stand back like, this lady's like, I don't want it. She's lunging, she's throwing her body against mine. This is all on like Starbucks security cameras, and not that the police would ever admit it, and probably lawyers would never help me. But, and then finally she breaks from, she's throwing her body up against mine to, I think she tried to put the cart on me or something, I don't know, and then she got angry and slapped me. And of course, the usual thing, the Starbucks employee is trying to cover it up, saying, okay, Kevin, she's a little temperamental, can you wait outside? We'll get you a new coffee. And then, of course, him not going to get me a coffee to make it look like I bolted, me coming back in, going, you never got me a coffee, and the employee saying, what did he say? Oh, the lady sees me and says, you hit me and you came back, right? With their schizo tactics, the same Jen Hess type things, right? Although Jen Hess never hit me, she just said some person hit her, came over the next day with no bruises. But this lady hit me in front of people, and I come back in, he gets me the coffee, she says I hit her. Another guy is on the phone saying he witnessed me hit her, obviously covering up these mass crimes against me. And I got most of it recorded on audio and video, although not as much as I would like. But there are security cameras in Starbucks that it can be, if it ever went to court, which I don't want it going to because it's a waste of time and money, and as you've seen, all the lawyers don't care that I'm being hunted for extermination since 5 years old. They're taking the side of, it's okay to hunt this guy down with worldwide support for some reason. You get the idea. That no matter what I do, insane amounts of worldwide groups are hunting me down to kill me, no matter how good of a person, nice, friendly, sane, stable, that I am. And I'm not allowed to talk or tell one person, even if they have a psychology degree, about my life. That is strange. Okay. So, I'm going to court on the 12th. The 12th says on the computer, it's a progress hearing. I kind of just figure, well, I'll just go get the docket, just because it's good to know what's going on. And it turns out that now remember, I'm going to court in 10 days, but it turns out that this docket is filled with all sorts of corrupt activities, okay? And I'm not looking at it, so hopefully I get most of it. The first thing is, after the arrest, now, I haven't spoken about a lot of this on video, but I do have blogs showing all the proof of these illegal operations, even so much that they have a court reporter, Debbie Woldman, who purchased 20 years ago when I moved in the property, adjoining my wall, and doesn't live in it, but they have audio surveillance. Now constantly trying to get me in the same courtroom where Debbie Woldman is doing court reporting. Okay? I get the docket, and the one thing I explained before was the whole gun tactic of theirs, how my father paid off with Victoria Walker, giving me a toy dart gun at 30 years old in front of my father and mother at my 30th birthday, them in hopes that they could get some kind of Kevin scared reaction to work some kind of coerced false confession about my father with the LAPD at 16 putting the bullet hole in his 300E Mercedes to pin on me, and I explained before the dynamics of why he did it and how it relates to my brother and his friends and their road rage shit, and the movie Wizards at 5 years old and all that, and my artwork, which my father doesn't like. Now, what else? Okay, so in 2018, they passed like a bill in California stating that anyone convicted has to relinquish all firearms. Okay, well, it's interesting that they did this whole trumped-up fake trial right after 2018, and they brought in evidence, or they worked on my credibility in the courts with photos of me doing model shoots and joking around on social networks with this toy gun in the privacy of my own home, breaking no laws and doing nothing wrong and nothing out of the norm, bringing it as credibility in the courts, or against me in the courts, and I was not allowed to prepare for trial. It was never booked into evidence in such a way that I could prepare for trial, for cross-examination, or more importantly, my lawyer saying this evidence was booked in, we're going to prepare for cross-examination. He intentionally, or they intentionally, set me up or framed me so that no questions were asked by the cross-examination. Example, Kevin Perlman, is this a picture of you with a toy gun, or is this a picture of you holding a gun? Cross-examination would be, Kevin, is this a real gun? Kevin, what are you using the gun for? Kevin, have you ever used this gun as a prop or this? Kevin, do you create a lot of artwork with photo shoots with models? Right? None of that was done, right? Showing that the entire trial, he completely lost the trial intentionally. Showing that he's a complete douchebag. This is Seymour Amster. Okay? Now, and every single attorney would have done the same exact thing. That's the scary part. Now, what was the point I was getting to? The point I was getting to... Okay, so now, after this, the prosecutor, Corrine T. Phillips, wants to do a check on me to see if I own firearms. Well, that makes sense. We don't want Kevin to have firearms, so we're going to do a check to see if he has one. Obviously, if you have a firearm, you're a registered firearm owner, and I am not, and there's no actual gun other than a toy gun, which there can't be a crime. What's the crime? Right? There is no crime. You have a picture of yourself with a toy gun. So? Okay? Whether the gun's a toy or a real, doesn't matter. There are like 100 billion pictures on the internet with people holding M16s and real guns, and nobody could give a flying fuck, right? And how does the gun really relate to the case? It doesn't, except they're trying to make it look like I'm a violent person, so they're using gun, right? You know, just gun. But owning a gun does not make you a violent person. Owning 100,000 guns does not make you a violent person. Doing photo shoots with women with guns definitely doesn't make you a violent person. Or joking around with the gun in thematic pictures, which I have like thousands of different themes going from thing to thing, not only isn't scary, it's perfectly normal within the context of the situation. And most prosecutors would go, I'm going to look really bad bringing this into court, but because Seymour, the defending attorney, is working with the prosecution to screw me over, she knew that he wasn't going to ask any questions to make her look stupid, right? Okay. So anyways, in the docket, it says that Kevin Perlman never filled out these forms and relinquished his weapon. Well, while it's vague, it's weird because the first court date says the court has checked and Kevin Perlman does not own a gun, right? The next court date says something, or the next several court dates, then says Kevin Perlman refused or failed to fill out this form and give him the firearm. Okay, well, we got a serious problem right there, especially with probation issues, because I've never been given a form. I have never been told to give them this imaginary firearm, which I don't own, but yet in the paperwork it states Kevin Perlman did this. Correct? Okay? Things that my attorney or no one else thinks is important. What else? There's that. Oh, this is the big one. For something like 6 months now, I've been calling my attorney up on the phone, asking him, Seymour, what's going on with his appeals? Because with the amount of illegal activities in the case, it would probably be thrown out because the operations were so illegal, right? Example, the closing statements, the prosecutor was allowed 2 closing arguments around the one closing argument, like sandwiched around the one closing argument of my defense attorney, who refused to do anything to help me, like explain that I'm not a crazy person who had a very stable life until met with death threats from Mike Huntley, that he's working with the police to remove me from society and things like that. Or bring in any evidence like Sean Dinsey stalking me during the trial, trying to thug me with tickets and things like that, like parking tickets, 1 inch in the red, right? What else? I can't remember. What else? So the appeals. So, even like 3 weeks ago or something, I called up Seymour. Seymour, what's going on with his appeals? Oh, it's in the process. I prepared briefs. And the last conversation I had with him is there's an extension to file briefs. Okay, well, it's been like 6 months, okay? And I'm not a lawyer, but I read on the internet that after convictions, you have 30 days to file an appeal. To this date, I cannot find a file within the court system of appeals. And he refuses to give me this case number. Now, he sort of just skates this way or skates that way, but there's never, this is the appeals, this is the date, this is happening. The only thing he's ever said is, yeah, I'm preparing a brief. Now, so I look at the docket, and the docket states that appeals date, or appeal to be filed date, no show by Kevin Perlman and no show by his attorney, right? And then I see another entry that says, and this was back in like maybe 6/15 or something, I'm not sure, of 2018, okay? And so he's been stringing me along for this long. So then it states that I think the next couple of entries, maybe a month later, says, okay, the process for filing appeals is closed, right? So that pretty much on the docket states that he he intentionally and maliciously and criminally did not file the appeals for me to appeal the case, showing that he intentionally does not want due process, a fair trial, anything truthful coming to light. And he's stealing my money, fucking me over, trying to lock me away in jail cells and mental institutions. And remember, this links back to my family and my brother. My brother at 5 years old, or them starting in on me at 5 years old, and the things like my brother bashing Greg Wall's skull in with a crowbar, or trying to bash Greg Wall's skull in with a crowbar, and me stopping him giving me the blood is thicker than water speech, and what else? Me hitting the blood is thicker than water, and oh yeah, then me stopping him from bashing Greg Wall's skull in with a crowbar, him telling me that he and his friends are going to put me in a mental institution. Alright? Okay. So you're starting to see the reasons why they don't want me talking, but it's still pretty strange that the judicial system is supporting the criminal activity of my family. Okay, so where am I? So now there is no appeals. What does he want? He wants to lock me away and throw me in jail and steal my money at the same time. What else? Now, if you get towards... So I have a meeting with him and a lady named Debbie Bear of the Aleph Institute, which is a Jewish community. She's also a therapist, which is kind of strange. And she's kind of spearheading me, Kevin, because there's court ordered therapy because they want to make me look crazy and like I need help, instead of the truth that they're following around stalking me with gaslighting and gang stalking operations, trying to make me look crazy to cover up their crimes. Okay? So, she has a meeting with me and my lawyer Seymour Amster, and Seymour tells me something strange like I can't really help you anymore, my hands are tied. Needless to say, I don't really know what that means, but he's my lawyer, right? So, and he never says that I'm not your lawyer. He doesn't state that. So, and I talked to him after about the appeals, and he said, yeah, I'm still working on your appeals, and I filed an extension. But remember, what is it, 4 or 5 months prior, he hasn't done a thing for the appeals, right? And remember, I'm not a lawyer, so whether there's things in the docket that can be aren't ironclad, I don't know, but I do know judges and clerks look at the docket and derive what they're going to do next, and it's pretty weird what I'm seeing in this docket are things that aren't discussed with me. My lawyer isn't telling me what's going on, he's lying to me, and he has ulterior motives. So whether he's being paid off or whatever, I can't tell you. But I do know enough that he intentionally lost the case and he's fucking me over. Okay, so, and that can all be explained, and I have lots of notes on that, which I'm sure people want me dead for. I mean, how dare I, right? And so, now, this is where things really get freaky. At the very end of the docket says that court wants Kevin Perlman to show up on December 12th, right? And then below it says, by request of defendant. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I would think by request of defendant means that Kevin Perlman verbally stated that he wants to set a hearing date with the judge, which I clearly have not set the hearing date with the judge, and my guess is that it was a setup for Seymour to say, I'm not showing up and I'm not going to tell Kevin Perlman or tell me that I'm supposed to appear in court because all the progress hearings for the last 6 months have been the lawyer showing up on my behalf, if that makes sense. So, example, the lawyer keeps showing up from case to case. The lawyer then says, my hands are tied. All of a sudden, the lawyer tells the court that I request a hearing with the judge. He doesn't, I'm just theoretical, giving you a theoretical. And so, the lawyer, who hasn't told Kevin anything anyways, or everything is a lie, doesn't tell me that I have to show up in court. I'm on autopilot. I don't show up to court. There's a warrant out for my arrest, and they arrest me saying Kevin's on the run. Right? Well, you might say that's far-fetched, but let me tell you, that type of thing happened. I paid $7,000 before I hired Seymour to Richard Barnwell at the Cochran firm. He went to one court case, told me the case was dropped. I was arrested a couple months later saying I didn't go. There's a warrant out for my arrest and I didn't go to court. Okay? So you get the idea. Not only is this going from lawyer to lawyer, and I can talk about endless things just like that from lawyer to lawyer, but you get the idea that they just keep coming after me more and more, and there's not one person. There's clerks involved in fabricating things. There's jury tampered juries. The judge is crooked. You name it, they're all crooked, and they just don't want me talking about the horrific things that have been done to my life. Now there's one more freaky thing at the end of this. Hey, Kevin wants to make an appearance on his behalf. There's a whole new case number under it. Okay? Now remember, they're trying to tell the world that I'm a violent paranoid schizo and make it look like I exert a pattern of anger, rage, and violence since 5 years old, and none of it is true. Right? All my brother's road rage things, they're pinning on me. My brother lights the hill on fire, they pin it on me. Mr. Quigley telling me to punch students, which didn't work, trying to set me up. Endless 40 years, all day and night of things like that. Right? So at the bottom of this is, Kevin's supposed to appear. There's a whole new case number, possibly trying to amend a whole set of new fictitious charges, and quite possibly trying to amend the girl that slapped me, because I've had tons of people threaten my life that I don't talk. That girl hit me. Another guy following me to 1,000 Oaks Starbucks saying, you better not talk, someone should slap you, letting me know that there's groups, coordinated groups hunting me, although these coordinated groups are worldwide, and that you get the idea. Now there's one more thing going on which is also strange. 12 days after this, I get a jury summons for 12 days after this, being the same courthouse, courtroom 101, the same room that once again the court reporter Debbie Woolman has purchased the adjoining property, has audio surveillance, and they want me in the same courtroom with that court reporter, okay? Well, that's strange too, but this time on a jury. Well, if these people in the Van Nuys courthouse think I'm such a horrible monster that they've been hunting me with billions of government dollars since 5 years old for the last 40 years, why do they want me 12 days later, and who knows what's going to happen on the 12th? I can't tell you. For all I know, they're going to say there's another case, and we've made it look like Kevin's violent, and we're going to lock him away, which nobody's coming forward saying it's all bullshit, or maybe not. Maybe it's just my anxiety on things that obviously would spike your anxiety because of the shady criminal operations, and nobody's saying it's wrong. But needless to say, 12 days later, I'm being summoned for a jury. Okay, so that's kind of strange too, because all these people know who I am, so why do they want me on a jury to be around all the psychotic people in the judicial system who are making up these lies about me, right? That's kind of like a conflict of interest. And why would they be sending me these things? And I can assure you it's not coming from a random list like it normally does. It's strategic. And so you get the idea. All the spooky shit's going on. Alright? So anyways, that was pretty much it. Now remember, most people don't really look at their dockets. That's usually what lawyers look at. So I'm kind of doing the job as a lawyer because my lawyer isn't trustworthy, and everyone I contact has already been approached and told not to help me or to screw me over, which is strange. And for reasons I cannot comprehend, they always have some cryptic messages to hint that I did something wrong, but never have an argument. But remember, when your lawyer and my stepfather tonight says you did this to yourself, means that they're not really on your side, and anyone that judges you like that, everyone makes judgments, but judgments on serious issues like you're a horrible person, we're going to kill you or rid you of the world or lock you away, and then they turn into your executioner. These are the types of people I've dealt with my whole life. Not people making stupid judgments like I went out on a date and I don't like her. Right? Judgments that are based on life or death. And the people in my life acting out on those judgments to rid me of the world on things I can't comprehend because it just jumps from one lie to the next, which doesn't make any sense. There's probably some more things I can't remember in that docket, but you get the idea, you know, when there's paperwork stating, hey, Kevin hasn't relinquished his firearm, although I guess the good part about it is it's inconsistent. For example, first it says Kevin doesn't have a firearm, then it says Kevin didn't relinquish his firearm, but the problem is that that's supposed to go into appeals, right? That's supposed to go into appeals, and the appeals judges look at the inconsistency or the fraudulent weird things, and they go, you know, something's wrong here. And now remember, Seymour has made a choice to stop me from getting an appeals showing that he and the people working with him are murderers, right? And so, they're murderers, they'll take your money, kill you, or lock you away, okay? The worst of the worst. And so, you get the idea. Now, once again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just reading a piece of paper and talking from common sense, whether things like judges can look at it and go, something's wrong here, and you're allowed to reissue the appeal or whatever. That's not my thing. But the vibe you're probably getting here is that if you can't trust your lawyer that you're paying, and you go from one to the next saying we're not going to help you, and you're a horrible monster and you need to die because of you farted wrong at 5 years old or didn't breastfeed correctly, then how do you find people that are going to say we have a judicial system that's about protecting those who are innocent, right? And not throwing a label on them and trying to kill them and bypassing the judicial system, saying you did this to yourself, your own defense attorney saying you did this to yourself, you're a bully and you're a criminal and things like this to you, right? And then taking your money after the fact and saying it's your fault, I'm screwing you over because I took your money and I'm doing the job. Well, he's obligated to not take my money if he thinks I'm a horrible monster and is going to lose the trial for me. That gets you disbarred immediately, normally, right? And that might be one of the reasons why he didn't file appeals, because he doesn't want anyone seeing that there's illegal operations going on, right? Anyways, so I'm going to keep this one a little shorter. This is I don't feel like talking a lot tonight, but I want to get these off my chest. And I think this is a very important one to get off my chest before the 12th of December, because I don't know what's going to happen. And, once people do things like this, there is no trust for them, especially if they're leaving you in the dark, wondering what's going to happen. And remember, my attorney in the beginning was telling me that they want to incarcerate me for life. For what's the crime? I don't know. Not breastfeeding correctly at 5. But yet, right? You get the idea. I don't know where this is going. I know, but looking at the end of that docket with a new case number coming up, and them trying to cover this up, trying to make it look like I'm a violent, paranoid schizo who needs to be removed from society. This needs to be documented for the world to see, especially if the shit hits the fan. And my fate is to be locked away forever, killed, whatever, because these people refuse to be honest. The world at least needs to know what really happened and what went down. So after I'm dead and gone, people can be held accountable for the horrific crimes against me and the largest crime in humanity against one person with worldwide support across a 40-year period, or escalating worldwide, to have them exterminated or eradicated, locked away, rid of the world, or get him to kill himself, or something like that, for absolutely no reason at all. Not that there really could be a reason. I mean, the only possible legitimate reason could be at 5 years old I built an atomic bomb and blew up 100,000 people, and that's how the punishment would, what's the term? The punishment must meet the crime. Well, how does at 5 years old I had a miscommunication with you, there's a worldwide torture operation to inflict horrific torture, terror, and kill you, or rid you of the world, no matter what it takes, with like 3.5 billion people on the planet, never ending, saying that you have to confess to things that don't exist, or we're going to kill you or rid you of the world. Right? How does it go from here to there? And remember, I was explaining to my family how everything goes from thin air to you drop nuclear missiles, or nuclear bombs, or nuclear missiles, or whatever. Right? Absolutely nothing out of the norm exists. One of their big scams is it's Kevin's behavior, which is perfectly normal behavior, and they're psychotic, like sociopaths. So if you tell a harmless joke, they think that jokes are wrong and illegal. if you show anger, depression, anxiety, it's mental illness instead of people venting or showing emotion at the time, right? And you get the idea that all their arguments are so absurd. That is why I'm not allowed to tell anyone about it. But anyways, I'll leave it at that. And I think this is about an hour, so it's not nearly like the others. Anyways, till next one.